Oh, I think we're live. Yay! Hello, everyone. Oh my gosh, today's Saturday, correct? I don't know what day it is.
Yeah.
Good. I'm happy that it's Saturday. It's a great weekend. How is your weekend? Hello, everyone. Yes, my name is Amparo. This is Zoe Hana Mikuta. We are going to be talking about whatever we want, whatever Zoe wants, but also Gearbreakers. Yay! Did you post that it was like 10 days? We're 10 days away?
Yes, it's the 19th, right?
Oh my god. The 19th? Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, I would imagine that you're excited and you're slightly nervous.
Hi, yes and yes. Oh, hi. Yeah, yes and yes. Just it's weird because actually just publishing moves so slow. So like I've just been waiting for like 2 years, and it was only like a couple months ago where stuff started to pick up. So it's like it's weird. I'm having trouble like conceptualizing it. It's odd. I don't know.
But is it because you've been writing for so long, or this is like I don't want to say your top dream because we all have different dreams or whatever, but this is like, is this your main goal in life, professionally speaking?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like all
like it.
Yeah. So it's kind of just, I guess, a lot because it's like all I ever want to do, right?
Oh my gosh, so cute. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I just got like, oh my god, I'm like stuttering even thinking about it. I've already done interviews and stuff, and I stutter every time just because like, I don't know how to like conceptualize what it means. I guess maybe I'm dissociating a little bit with it, which is fine. I think on launch day it'll be like, I think I'll like settle and be like, okay, this is like real kind of thing. I need to have like an official thing.
But it's interesting that you say that because you have held the final copy of your book. Like you have the hardcover. Like how did that? I mean, I guess I understand how it felt, but for you specifically, we were talking about this backstage, but your TikToks or your videos in general of you just like holding your baby, your book, because you're a parent now, and you're just like super emotional about it. Like, it's so wholesome and it's beautiful to watch because you see someone having their dreams come true. And I'm assuming a lot of people are familiar with dreams coming true, but when it happens to people that it's their first time holding their novel, it's heartwarming. I don't know how else to describe it. I'm like, I get emo too. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, definitely. Like I had that box from my publisher on my floor for like 48 hours because I was like, I just like had such, I don't know. I was like, if I open it like something, it's like a big moment. And I felt like I don't know. I was like, I'm putting too much pressure on the moment, and eventually it's like I'm just gonna do this like really quickly kind of thing.
But like, you waited 2 days. You waited 2 days for your unboxing.
Yeah, because I was living in the center of my floor space, which is not a lot. So
it was there, but you were like, I don't see anything, and there's nothing there.
Like I do not see it.
That's amazing. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone waiting that long. I mean, 2 days might not seem like a long time, but when it's your book and you wait 2 days, that is honestly amazing to me.
No, it was either that, like when I saw it sitting in like my front stoop, I was like, I'm about to actually drop to my knees and tear it apart right now. And then it just ended up happening. I was like, it's too much.
It's like, I'm going to go feral. Wait, no, I'm not. Let's leave this for another day. That's amazing though. Like that's the self-restraint. I would have just seen that and like picked it apart like a true desperate person. I don't even know how to qualify that desperation. Yes, I'm a Capricorn, but I don't think that makes any sense.
I gotcha.
I don't think that has any bearing in anything or with anything. But yes, speaking of this delightful debut novel, can you please tell us the absolutely glorious premise? Because honestly, like this is such a cool sounding book.
Wonderful. Yeah. So Gearbreakers, it's a YA sci-fi. It's about this found family of renegade kids who are hunting down 200-foot mecha deities who are like messing up the world. They're hunting them down in the desert, taking them apart from the inside out. But the main arc is that Eris, who's a Gearbreaker, she meets Sona, who's one of these mecha pilots, so her mortal enemy, but they end up having common loyalties, and they end up falling in love and trying to save the world together. So,
that's my favorite thing. It's like the backdrop is apocalyptic, it's terrifying, but then the main story is a love story.
yes,
Like-
absolutely, yeah. I joke that it has like I don't really joke, but it has like a contemporary beat to it that I just
Oh,
I felt like it needed to not even to balance out the harsh parts, but maybe to even amplify them. But like the point for like the characters is that like the world's really bad, but like there's still these moments that like make us feel very human despite what we have to do.
yeah.
So it's just like I feel like it was needed to have both of those elements.
Yeah, and I feel like it's interesting that you say that about the main story, how you conceptualized it and went about it, because sometimes people get so caught up in the genre aspect of it, and even something as tender and normal as a romantic relationship would be kind of influenced by the speculative elements. It's just like things are blowing up behind you, therefore there's no time to make out.
Yeah,
Or,
right.
you know, it's like there's always time to make out. Let me just,
Yeah. So, yeah,
you
that's
have to make
funny.
time to make out.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
matters. Yeah, apparently.
and especially in sci-fi, as you say, it is something that I've noticed. There is like a slight uptick in sci-fi titles, but it's not like as broad as I would like it to be.
Yeah.
I usually love sci-fi movies. That's how I kind of got into sci-fi in general. But, you know, the more sci-fi, the better. The more speculative in general, the better. And I feel like this is part of history in the sense that we're going to see more stories within a genre that it might not be as, publishing might not value it as much, like in general, because they have their notions of what is popular or what is cool, what is whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't think that the genre itself should be what we should be praising over the heart of it. And I love that it is a love story, because I'm a huge sap in general, so this is perfect for me.
Love it. Yeah, wonderful.
Yes. So you've mentioned that Gearbreakers has women love women, pining disaster girls. I love that description. What is it about both Eris and Sona that makes them so disastrous?
Well, they're both like, at least at the beginning of the novel, they come onto the page like really driven by like this need for revenge, and it's just like anger, and that's really what they're hinging on, because they're like, I need to get vengeance for like their particular reasons.
Yeah.
And anger is the only way they can like motivate themselves through that without like, you know, having complete like moral collapse. Like it's
Right.
like anger kind of like staves off that like introspection that you're like actually forgetting your humanity kind of thing. I mean, still have to have that introspection at some point. Just because, but
not
like
while they're making out, for example.
no, yeah. Well, that helps, right?
That helps to concentrate. Yeah.
Yeah. But
I mean, I personally wouldn't be able to concentrate, but yeah.
Yeah, mood, honestly. Yeah, they just like they do go through different like emotional arcs. Like Eris's is more like she needs to learn how to like basically soften herself up, because what she's doing is like weighing people in her life. She's like keeping them at arm's length, even though she does like really care about them. She's like pushing it aside because she might lose people, and it's like this that like ends up being like she's cold, and it like kind of is like rotting her from the inside kind of thing. So she needs to like just get on, just like be prepared to lose more but also feel more, which is like so cheesy, right? But I feel like it's like
it is my jam. It is my peanut butter. It is my jelly. It's everything.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed writing it. And then like I would say Sona's emotional arc is more introspective, because she like first chapter she wakes up and she's like been cybernetically enhanced, has this whole like crisis moment where she's like, am I still human? Like, even though I've done this to myself in order to get revenge. And so like it's more like her side, it's like definitely the relationship with each other, but with Sona it's like her relationship to herself, because they both have a little bit of a god complex, and it kind of like it balances in different ways. But Sona definitely like I feel like she feels more readily like that anger eating at her, and it like it's more of a problem for her, I would say, than Eris, because Eris has grown up on the side of the Gearbreakers, so like she's been like, that's just how she's grown up. But Sona's more put herself into that place, so she has like, it's like more of a shock, I suppose.
Yeah, but also a little bit of a center, that moral center. Yeah. A lot of people value characters that make the right decisions, if not all the time, most of the time. But I love a good revenge story or a revenge arc, because it allows the character to mess up, but in a justified way, I guess. It's like, yes, I messed up. I'm not as smart or as clever as I thought I was, but I'm doing it for a reason, everyone. Please support me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly.
Or don't support me, whatever, you know, be wrong. Be wrong. Who cares? Be mistaken. That's awesome, though. I mean, I love anytime I see disaster girls as a description for anything, I'm like, I need to see why they're disastrous, because it's just like a broad concept. But I love that it's just centered and rooted in anger and revenge, and finding your place within this world that might not be friendly or welcoming to you in general.
Yeah. So they have those elements, but also just like part of their personalities is just like they're so incredibly arrogant about their skill level.
Oh, I love that.
Like,
yeah.
That's where like kind of the god complex comes in, is that like they have these moments of like worrying about their morality, but like mostly in the heat of the moment, they're like, I can just destroy anything in my life.
That's actually a great thing to have when you're dealing with 200 feet, like 200-foot mechas. It's not easy. Like, I don't think that I personally, Amparo, could just walk up to these creatures or robots and say, yes, I will take you down. I know I can't do it. Even if I had the skill set, I couldn't do it. So it takes skill, but also that confidence to be like, I'm going to bring you down. I don't know why my voice went low. Anyway.
I love it, yeah.
But I love that also because I do know that this likable thing, the likable female character or the unlikable female character, it's usually a thing with readers and even publishing itself. Like, oh, but where are the redeeming qualities of your character? You know, they can't be that cocky all the time or that angry all the time. And it's like, why are we putting women, girls, or people in general who are not cis men into these or against these standards or parameters that really just mean that we're less than, you know?
Totally. No, I totally get it.
Yeah, so anytime I see anything like that, I'm like, oh, Gabby says, just submitted my receipt so I can get the gay art prints.
It's gay.
So what Gabby is talking about, I assume, is the pre-order campaign?
Yes. Yeah, I have just a couple. I have a art print I commissioned, and then I have a couple of I have temporary gear tattoos.
Yes.
It's in the story that like every time the kids get a takedown, they get like a little tattoo, little gear tattoo.
Oh, that's so cool. I mean, I personally don't have any tattoos. I'm not afraid of needles, but I'm afraid of permanence. I guess.
Yeah.
That's my issue personally.
Yeah.
I'm like, what if I get like a tattoo now and then tomorrow I hate it, you know?
Yeah, what then?
But I guess, you know, as long as it's somewhere that I can't see it, like for example, like my neck, I'm like, I can't see that. So if I hate it, I don't have to look at it.
None of your business when you can't see it.
Yeah, it's like, I have a tattoo. I just can't see it. It's fine.
Yeah.
So in your awesome video titled Unmatched Sapphic Romantic Relationships in Lit, because spoiler alert, Zoe has a YouTube channel as well. You should subscribe. You say these stories should portray tragedies and the mundane. How does Gearbreakers explore tragedy and the mundane, of course, without spoilers?
Yeah, it's they're like their backstory is Sona and Eris. They're both very tragic. It's kind of like that classic YA thing where you come onto the page with no parents. It's like very classic.
Yes, exactly.
It's like that's not really a spoiler, I would say, just because it's YA.
Yeah, it's right. The backstory, people. It's fine.
Yeah,
Not spoiling anything.
Oh my, yeah, absolutely. So I would say definitely for tragedy, it's just like that element that like almost every character, or I guess every character comes onto the page with, is that like the world is the tragedy, that like you have either grown up on the side of the Gearbreakers or you've grown up on the side of the pilots, and it's like it explores like that kind of tragedy where like you're kind of like just like you've come to exist on these sides, and it's like very hard to conceptualize that it's like not a black and white world where you know, like the sides are black and white, but like people are very messy and complicated, and very like they're as real as like the people on your sides. And like I kind of explore that just with the pilots who are like the enemies, because it's like mostly from the Gearbreakers point of view. So like the pilots are the enemies, but I do make sure to like give some of the pilots that I show like their beats of personality, so that it can like be implied that they have like this entire life that's outside the page, that's suddenly, you know, that's they don't witness as evil, right? Because it's just them. But it's just I really wanted to point to that. And then even for the Gearbreaker sides, I like wanted, like, they're the heroes, right? But like it's only because you're viewing it from their perspective, and like that's also tragic because it's like children, and they're like we didn't want to be here, but like we don't want other people to also end up here, and now we're here, so we can't walk away, because what would that make us? There's like a big element of like at what point do we stop saving the world and focus on saving each other? Like, is there a tipping point there, like that we just can run and save like the people that we love instead of saving the whole side? So that's, it makes like I'm sad just talking about it. It's like such
I feel that sadness, because you're right. I mean, a lot of people think, oh, it's so cool, you know, these badass teens, but at the same time they're still teenagers, and you know, they're not getting to explore their teenageness. Is that a word? I don't know. We're making it a word. We're making it a word.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I was like reading all this YA where it's like this like same classic like dystopia, and I feel like the ages of the kids aren't pointed to enough. Like it's more like the glory that they're the heroes instead of like the tragedy of it. So I definitely wanted to balance that out a little bit. And like the question mentions like mundane, and I would say like it kind of bleeds over into tragedy, where like these elements of war have become so mundane. Like that's the tragedy, that it's just like the way it is. It's just the world. It's the given.
It's like right now, like nowadays, you would see something very horrifying in the news or wherever, or even in your own like neighborhood or your town or your country. You hear things, you see things, and you're like, well, that's just life.
Yeah.
And that's horrible. Like, why are you acting like it's so normal and commonplace? Yeah. These are really horrifying things. And I love that through young adult literature, whether it's contemporary or speculative fiction in general, we can see teenagers acting like adults or doing things that adults, actually not even adults, would get to save the world in such a horrifying fashion.
Yeah, right.
There's just so much put on their shoulders, and they have to excel. But a lot of people think, wow, this is so great. I'm so happy that they saved the world. I'm like, they had to save the world, and they were like 14 years old. Like, what are you talking about, man?
It's like a lot.
Oh my gosh. And then, of course, you know, a lot of people say, oh, your teenagers are so important. They're very crucial to you developing who you are. Like, and it also adds more pressure, because how are you going to know in the span of a year or 2 years that you're still like getting to know the world at large? How are you going to know who you are? Like, of course, there are people who immediately find their place in the world, and that's great, and I'm so jealous of them. But for the most part, teenagers are still figuring themselves out.
Absolutely. Like,
oh my gosh.
they have to deal with themselves at the same time as everything else. And it's just like, oh my God, like they grow up so fast. It's so wrong. Like,
yes, that's actually, yeah, because a lot of people you would see or you would hear, oh, but like they were so annoying to read about or see in this XYZ film or whatever, because they weren't acting like, they were so like immature. And I'm like, ma'am, that's a teenager.
yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
They have to deal with themselves, as you say. And dealing with yourself can be a lot. Oh my God. I don't know you.
Yeah.
So there's something especially traumatizing about multi-generation wars, where you are born, grow up, have kids, and die all during the same war. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Is this something that you wanted to show, like that generational conflict? Because the world starts out in your book, it already, you know, we're already knee deep in the tyranny in Godolia's evil rule or reign.
Yeah, definitely. Like I have already said this, but like the theme is just like they like it's just the world has been in this war for so long that it's like ingrained. It's like just but it makes both sides like just that divide between them just like that much more like insurmountable to just, I don't know, leave behind. And like sometimes like it's hard because, you know, it's not like it's at the point where it's like the only way it's been ingrained for so long that the only way is to like completely destroy the other side. Or you know, or so they like think. That's just, it's just like a just very I feel like it cultivates like this desperation when it's like you have ages behind you where it's just been the same thing and you just need somewhat of a blank slate. It's just like horrific. That's on the shoulders of kids.
I hadn't thought about that actually, because a lot of these narratives, they reinforce the fact that you have to eradicate the evil side or the opponent for good.
Yeah.
And if something is still there from that opponent or that evil side, then you have failed somehow.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, the world is always going to be quote unquote balanced in that sense. Like you're not always going to have great people around you and you're not always going to have terrible people around you. It's kind of a fluctuating thing.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that actually.
It's kind of scary.
It is, especially, you know, in narratives or in real life situations where you don't know who your true friends are. And I feel like in this situation specifically, as you say, we follow the Gearbreakers. But the Gearbreakers have such a difficult job that you would think someone is not entirely sure that they want to do this forever, or because they truly believe in the cause. There has to be some sort of ulterior motive somehow. So I like that you have everyone is on the same team. Or are they? It's like really dramatic.
Yeah, I love the drama.
Yes.
So horrific.
Yeah, it's horrific, but it's part of our lives, I guess. Or an exploration of how the real world forces children to not grow up, but do things that they shouldn't do in the first place.
Exactly.
Ever.
Yeah.
It's like, I hate it. Like, we have to grow up fast. I'm like, we're not growing up. We're just being traumatized.
Yeah, pretty much. And I don't know, like, because like it's like that concept of growing up too fast. So I like put in the book like these scenes where like the kids are just being kids, like they're messing around, they're having their sleepovers kind of thing. They're just like, I don't know, they're just like being little monsters to each other, and it's just like good fun.
I love it.
I don't know. Part of it is just like me being really, really mean. So I'm like, here's what you have to lose. Now go like do the next thing. But I think it's important, right? Because it's like also like just the reminder of like this is what you have to fight for. Like the world is really, really bad, but we're all good for each other. And like like it's something like that's what you have to focus on. Because like otherwise it's just like desolation.
It's really tough to wade through those pages. I can't remember the author, but I do remember, now that you mentioned this, I remember an author whose editor, one of the editorial editors, I can't remember which level of edits she was in, but the editor was like, okay, but can they have fun?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
can the characters have fun? And the author was like, you know what? I had no idea that they could have fun. And I'm like, okay. So yeah, it's interesting because yes, it's levity, but at the same time, this is what you're fighting for. This is what you want to continue. But you know, if you lose, then say goodbye to good times. Oh gosh, that thing is so terrible. I'm so sorry.
No, that's correct. You're accurate.
Accurately cruel. Oh
Yeah.
gosh. So Aerith and Sona are going up against 200-foot mecha deities known as Windups. By the way, awesome name. Gearbreakers has Pacific Rim as a comp title, so if we pit the Windups against kaijus, how would they fight back?
I guess like just the way that they fight normally, but like the thing is like Godolia is the one, it's like an evil city metropolis like that's churning out this wind-up army, but part of the like one of the other themes is that like it's just the total excess of like you like what are you even fighting for? Like you're the only nation left, you have everyone under your thumb, like why do you just keep creating these monsters? And I think like kaijus, like I think in Pacific Rim there was a big shortage of the what are they called? The Jaegers. The mechs. There's like a big shortage of them, but for this one, like there's just too many. Like they're just
interesting.
Absolutely outnumbered.
Yeah, because even though kaijus they come in different, I don't want to say breeds, but I suppose that's or like types. There's like different types of kaijus, but even if they're very strong, if they are outnumbered in such a heinous way, they will die, they will lose. Yes, absolutely. And I think that that's so funny to see, like a world where the mechas are that many, because what is the point of humanity anymore then? Of course pilots are humans, but what are you trying to erase? What are you trying to like make forever the standard here? That's so sad.
Because like the thing is, like at some point in this time, in this just very far future that I put this in, like the
hopefully very far future. I mean,
right.
I mean, I don't trust a lot of people. A lot of these billionaires, I don't trust them. But
too much. But at some point, like there's I get more into this in the sequel, but like there
I love it.
Yeah, but like eventually, like religion at some point in the human timeline became very entangled with technology. So now, like the Windups are deities to like the Godolia people and some of the people that they control too. And like that's like another reason why they keep churning them out, is because like they know that they can keep people like spellbound by like just the visual aspect. Like, oh, like we're the ones creating your gods, so stay place, and like we're like, what does that make us if like we're the ones creating your gods, like kind of thing. And it just like structures it really intensely, and like their underlings' minds, like you need as many as possible apparently.
And also it kind of, I don't know, deifies, is that the verb? It kind of makes the people behind these mechas deities themselves, in the sense that without us you don't have anything to worship. You can't control these. You don't know how to power them. You don't know how to make them work without us. And I think that's really dangerous and insidious, and also very clever, and quite a commentary on what is essentially tech, but how religion or just belief in general, when it is fanatical, can get really, really dangerous.
Absolutely. And then you also have like just like the pilots specifically, it's like, oh my god, like we get to be vessels for like our these comments, and then like we'll just do whatever the government wants, because like this is like they're being so merciful and like incredible with this opportunity to become something greater than ourselves. So then I don't know, kind of distance themselves from like just like questioning what that they're doing, because it's like already such a high honor is what it's painted as.
That's actually even more frightening for me, like, because if you're going up against a foe that is just technologically advanced but isn't really believing in anything, has no like set system of anything, it has no creed, it's like, okay, you're just there because you're power hungry or whatever it is, or you want to survive. You want to be on the winning team or the winning side. But the fact that it is so ingrained in who or what these people believe in, and they're willing to die and kill for it, it's even more of a situation.
The situation. Because like the whole if there's any theme, there's a lot of themes, but like if there's any overarching theme in Gearbreakers, I would say it's anti-military. Because like I'm very blatant with it. Like the religion is their military, and it's like just it's just wrong. And I hope people read it and be like, yeah, just anti-military. I don't know how you can get any other interpretation from it, but that's one, I think.
Yeah, I mean, because there is a lot of pride associated with service, and you feel like you've done something great. You're honorable. You're an honorable person or an honorable citizen if you serve your country in the way that they want you to serve. And it's like, I talk about this all the time, but in my case, it's like the police force everywhere around the world, and of course the military. We have to see them, or the structures, for what they are, and they're just tools of the state, essentially. You have to be aware that even if you are a good person and you have good morals and you really do want to help others, what you're supposed to do, like, you weren't hired to help others necessarily. You're just there to help keep the power on one side of the fence and to keep that control as tightly wound as possible. So I love that exploration, because it's just like, you know what? War is not cool. It's not for aesthetics, people.
Yeah.
But it's such a difficult thing to get through, or sometimes when we're like experiencing, or not experiencing, but like interacting with media, because we want to escape or we want to entertain ourselves, but not like, there's no single shred of media that is entirely escapist to me. I don't think.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
So this is just so wonderful, because I feel like kaijus really don't have any sort of moral compass or anything, really. They just want to like rule. They're like, this is my land. Excuse you, you're in the way. The Windups, they have like a specific reason, a specific purpose of being, and I love that. So speaking of fighting, what was the hardest part about writing combat sequences in this specific book and genre for you?
Oh yeah, I love my fight scenes.
Oh, do you?
Absolutely. Just writing them such a just fun time. I get awesome. Adrenaline rush. I just think it's fun. But definitely I'm the type of writer that just can go off on emotional tangent rants, and I had through my edits I had to that was mainly what I was extracting, is I just need to
right.
to move on in this fight scene. I can't pause every to be oh my god, what, to have the character be oh my god, what am I doing? This is terrible, type of thing. Smoothing that part out, and I was I don't know, which I just keep it at a clipped pace, basically, because that's how it would be in the moment of it. So yeah, it's just that kind of balance between clipping the emotional parts out, but still keeping the character personality, where it's just not all action.
I love that though.
Yeah, I love my fight scenes, just because that's what I love about Pacific Rim, right? Is the writing is there's so many plot holes. The acting is so dramatic, but it's just the funnest thing ever to watch.
What are you talking about? It's so believable.
Yeah, but just those fight scenes, I was I just want to do something big and almost ridiculous like that. And it is ridiculous because you have the Eris is 5'3" and just taking 200-foot thing, and it's just if you go far back enough, you're just looking at the scale, and you're that's silly.
But actually, I feel very represented because I'm 5'2", and I feel the shortest person ever. So this is I get, I don't get teased, but I get you're 5'2" as an adult, and I'm yes.
Is that not I'm 5'3"? Isn't that an average height?
Look at us! Look at us! Short people in the house. I love it. Yeah. Short people rights. But I feel when you're writing these sequences, I guess when I'm, for example, if I'm reading a book or I'm watching a movie or a show and there's a fight sequence happening, I literally zone out or I just think about other things.
Oh,
If
yeah.
there's no emotional core. If it's just people like fighting, I don't feel the stakes other than I will lose if this person punches me again or whatever, or this foe defeats me, then that just means I lost. I don't care. Like, I literally just zone out. I start thinking about things I have to do during the day. Like, it's really sad. It's really sad.
Impressive,
like,
actually.
there needs to be like an emotional reason or like something, emotional stakes tied to the fight. And I feel like, for example, that's why, I don't know how you feel about them personally, but the Fast and Furious movies, I know they're like, speaking of dramatic or like overwrought things, I don't think you get more dramatic than anything Vin Diesel does. But in those movies, you see just like a lot of family and a lot of just bonds that are forever, essentially, most of them. So I feel like I can watch all of those movies and root for everyone that's on the good side. But if I see a Mission Impossible movie or like anything else, usually Tom Cruise is involved in those properties that I just zone out. I'm like, what are the stakes? Like,
so funny.
What happens if they lose?
Yeah, then he doesn't get to look cool.
Yes, exactly. Like, I mean, you have to be a special kind of person to like break your leg or whatever it was that he broke, and just be like, I'm fine. I'm like, sir, you broke your leg. Like, no. And that's it. It's all for the aesthetics. It's so sad. So let's say you're designing a mecha deity for you as its cyborg pilot. What would it look like? What kind of battle tech would it have?
This is an awesome question because, like, I've stated literally my dream job would be to be a pilot in Pacific.
Oh, that's amazing! That's amazing.
Sign me up, kind of thing. But I don't know if I've even ever thought about this specifically.
I mean, I personally would love to have the tech that what is it called? I don't know, like any sauce, not sauce, but like any spice that if you like a propeller or like some sort of arm that would like help me shoot spicy food at my opponent's eyes so that they like cry. They cry and they can't like see me and I can slip out undetected.
Wow. It's like chemical warfare. Love it.
Yes, exactly. It's like, you know what? Here's the whatever. I don't know. I can't even think of the name right now of what I'm talking about. But it would be very spicy and they would hate their lives.
That's great, actually. Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, I would, definitely, like, I think a sword type of blade thing would be, it's a classic, of course. Oh my gosh.
But with like a thunderbolt wrapped around it or something.
Yeah, it has to be some kind of like cyberpunk excess to it. Like, blades, like the just, I don't know. Kind of like, I'm trying to think of, oh my gosh, I don't know the word for it either. Like whatever. It's like a weed whacker, but it's like a blade.
Oh, yes, I know what you mean. Yes,
I don't know what they're called.
Does anyone know?
If anyone knows what the
write in the comments.
Real thing, I don't know.
Yes, I mean, I feel like, and also just any sort of, you know how like in wizards or like magicians or people who like illusionists, they have like the smoke bombs. Or like they like do something and smoke, oh my gosh, and then the person disappears. I mean, I would try my best to just not fight like at all. My fight would be geared towards distraction and just like getting people away from me or like mechas away from me.
yeah, that's cool.
I mean, it's quite confrontational in real life, but I guess I was just thinking about the damages, the repairs, and I'm like, that's a lot of money and time.
Like, just like every Power Rangers movie, where it's just like,
oh my god,
like they saved the city, but there's no city.
Right? Or they're like, oh, this foe is so powerful. This enemy is so huge, and they're like the same size, I would say. and less threatening because there's only one and there's like 5 of them or however many. I can't even remember. There's been a lot of Power Rangers. Like I grew up on them, but there's been a lot of them.
Yeah, totally.
But I love that, you know, for example, you say you want to be a pilot, specifically a Jaeger pilot, but does it require someone else to pilot it with you?
It does, yeah. Like, cause what is it? It's just like the, oh my god, what is the specific term? I should know this. Like the neural load, I think is what they used in Pacific Rim.
Yeah, it sounds really scientific.
Yeah, but I don't know. My little cousins got really obsessed with the movie because I got on it. So they're like, "Who would your co-pilot be?" So I've thought about this part where definitely been my younger brother. We just would, I can imagine it. Like it'd be very cool. But yeah, nothing else that I can even think of. But yeah, but it'd be cool. He would want swords too. So
yes, I mean, I also have a younger brother, and he would probably be the best partner for me in this situation. But mostly because he just does what I say.
Love it. Perfect. Works out.
Like old sister rights or older sister rights. But yes, I mean, like in this, and there are triplets in this in the film. There are sibling co-pilots.
Yeah, they pilot Red Cyclone.
Yes, I believe so. The Chinese triplets. Yes. So it's like siblings are great. I mean, it makes sense. They share a bloodline. They grew up together. It's fine.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Pacific Rim makes sense. So you describe Gearbreakers as having 7 renegade kids with a pickup truck and a lot to lose. Are you personally a fan of pickup trucks?
I just liked like the contrast where you have like a big shiny mecha and then like just a bunch of teenagers and like this, not even a rusty truck. There's like enhancements, right? But it's just like another thing where it's just like, what do you think you're doing kind of thing? Like you have no chance.
Yes.
Do. Like I love it.
That's why I asked the question, because when I read that I was like, this is hilarious. Like I don't know if there's a specific reason, like an emotional plot point that's tied to the pickup truck, but I'm like, or maybe just Zoe just likes pickup trucks. Who knows?
Yeah, where like the main like functionality thing is that like usually like the getaway driver will be driving up to Crimson Typhoon. What did I?
The Red Tornado, I think.
Red Tornado. I was close.
Very close. We're close.
Yeah.
And yes, Gabby says it's drift compatible.
Drift compatible. Yeah. Great.
Yes, we love Pacific Rim around here. Yes.
No, absolutely. Yeah, but with the pickup truck, it's like functionality wise, they're driving up to like the side of the mecha, and they need to be able to get from the car into the mecha, like really as quickly as possible. And I feel like you can't do that in a minivan.
Right. I mean, you can't really hold that many people in a car that's maybe as fast as you would think. Like when you think of a race car, it would never hold 7 people unless there were like, there's a sidecar like the Batman and Robin thing. Yeah. I'm like, that makes, I completely understand. And also like race cars make a lot of noise in general. Like those engines are really noisy. So, I mean, I guess it depends on the model, but yeah, they're usually just not a great way to spy on things or people, or just to, like intercept a mecha like without them noticing that you're there.
Yeah.
I love that, you know, that pickup truck is like, for me personally, I'm not a huge fan of pickup trucks because I feel like they're just so intimidating as a driver for me. I look at them and I'm like, and I actually learned how to drive in an Astro van, which is one of the heavier cars, and I think I've only driven that Astro van and like Toyotas, so like there's just like no in between. But yeah, it's really something else. I would probably suck at being the getaway driver during this, because I would be like so overwhelmed.
No, I drive like a grandmother. Like
oh, that's interesting. I mean, when I used to drive, I say that because I don't drive anymore, but like when I used to drive, I was a good driver, but I have this problem where I zone out. I'm like, oh no, look at the shiny squirrel. There are no squirrels in Puerto Rico, but I'm like, oh my god, a squirrel. There's no squirrel. Yeah. But I'm like, oh. So imagine yourself driving the pickup truck and like the getaway driver. That would be something that you would not excel at. Like you would just not be good at that.
maybe like in the moment when I was trained, just like from what I've seen so far, I don't even like driving. I love just zonking out in the passenger seat. So like,
that's literally my life's purpose, is to be in the passenger seat at all times.
yeah, I love the car ride. Like,
yes. Like, so those are my two instances of zoning out. Action sequences with no emotional core and driving.
Love it.
Only one of those is actually pernicious to my health.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that the sequel is something. Are you currently drafting that, or is that off to the off to the presses?
Right. Yeah. So I was very productive over my quarantine, where I wrote.
Oh, that's very good.
Yeah, I wrote the sequel to Gearbreakers, and then we've done a couple edit rounds with my editor, and she just emailed me yesterday with the line edits.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you're like almost done.
Yeah, it's going pretty quickly. But she's kind of angry she's not angry at me. Like, I was just very mean. I've been very bad to my characters. It's just like,
yes. I think you mentioned it in a video.
Oh,
I think so. I think I saw a TikTok where you were just like, oh, when they read the sequel, I'm like, I'm scared.
I'm like, because I'm very neo-pagan, so I was kind of concerned, like legitimately, like putting in what I've done, because I was like, because what if it comes back to me? I'm just encouraging this energy to come find me more. I'm like, because I went back and forth of like doing. I have one instance in my mind that I can't say, but I went back and forth because I was like, what if this ruins my life? Like, doing
wow, interesting.
I can't.
That's interesting.
I was like scared. Well, so we'll see, I guess.
But I don't think it will. I think you're fine.
There's a purpose.
But in terms of like that process, because I also wrote a sequel like in 2020.
Oh yeah.
I don't even know how I did. I mean, I could tell you right now, I spent more time not writing it than writing it, and I still beat my deadline for over a month, which is
wow.
It's like it was a really short draft anyway, but because I plotted the whole thing out. Did you have to plot the whole thing out? I know you're a pantser, but like.
Oh yeah, no, I just kind of went. I had some kind of synopsis, but I'm notorious for like I'll turn in a synopsis because I'm required to, and then
we won't. They make us do this, you guys. We don't choose. We have no voice.
Yeah. So I'll have the intention of following the synopsis. But
it's totally in the intention.
Yeah, I know, right? But it ends up not being that, which is okay.
Yes, but I guess, one of my biggest hardships writing my sequel was the fact that it was grimmer or more grim than the first one. And I felt like it wasn't the book that people were going to expect to read because the first one is a little bit more fun in the sense that it's just a competition. There's some drama behind the scenes, but in essence, it's just a cultural identity story. But this second one, we kind of like move away from the cultural identity stuff because I am writing from the perspective of a diaspora Latina. I am not diaspora myself, so that was really hard to write. Right. Why would I choose the easy route? And no, I have to go and make it harder for myself.
Yeah, of course.
So I don't know if you felt that same way in terms of the story itself, like the route you were taking. Is it heavier? Is it a little bit more emotional? Or do you just feel more emotional about it because it is a continuation of where you left off in the first one?
Ooh, I didn't think of that. Like maybe I'm stressing more about it because I'm more attached to the characters now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably a big part of it. But I definitely think like overall there is like the second book it's just like more stakes. Like great stakes, I would say. I say that Gearbreakers is a rom-com with mechas. I would say
I love it. Yes.
But I would say maybe the second one is like it has those contemporary moments, but like that's not a rom-com anymore.
Exactly. It's like there's rom, but not a lot of com.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Don't get comfortable with the com, people. But I love that though.
Yeah.
And did you feel like writing that specific book, like, was that process for you easier because you did know the characters more?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, definitely, because Gearbreakers is it's Eris and Sona POV, and they switch back and forth, and it's first person. So like definitely over the course of Gearbreakers, the majority of my edits were like in the first half of the book because I hadn't like settled into distinct personalities yet. Like I didn't know really like their vernacular and how they talked. It's cool. I love like the writing process is like so interesting in my head because I, you know, as I go around and write new characters, like they're like how I read them on the page, you know, like you have the voice in your head that's like reading along, like that'll develop into like something distinct as I like go around and write. So those voices were already distinct in my head when I started the sequel. So definitely very helpful, like helped me pick up the pace that I didn't have to flesh them out like I did in the first one.
That's awesome. Because I struggle with like the first book in my duology. Is yours a duology as well?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So we can't expect more Eris and Sona after the sequel.
Well, yeah. I think it'd be cool in the future, but I won't put all my eggs in that basket.
Yes, I mean, we're taught to keep an open mind, but also to be thorough and final with our decisions. But
yes,
we can't stop being hopeful around these parts. So that's awesome because in my case, my first book was just one POV and then the sequel was two. So it was interesting because one of them I was like, yes, and the other one was so foul-mouthed and angry all the time. I'm like, wow, I can really, you know, go off now. Like this is great. So that's interesting. In terms of anything that because I know you're working on a fairy tale or a retelling.
Yeah, I finished that also over quarantine.
Oh my gosh. You wrote 2 books in 2020?
Yeah, I did. I don't know where I was, but apparently I was in that mindset. But it's oh my god, it's fantasy horror because I just want to write basically every genre because it's just
that's great. You should.
Right? Yeah, but it's
completely here to support that. Yeah,
it's great. I love it. Yeah, I'm just like get a kick out of it, right? Why not try everything out? But yeah, this third project it's an Alice in Wonderland meets Attack on Titan retelling.
Yes,
and it's just like so like has sapphic lovers to enemies arc, which I feel like hasn't been done really concretely.
Yeah,
at least not in, you know, fantasy horror. But I just had like a lot of fun with it because it was like just new genre, and you know, I get to create like new magic systems. Like it just makes me so excited to think about it. That's just what I can do.
Yeah, it's a clean slate for you because it's, you know, a new world. You get to play around with it and the rules of whatever it is that you're recreating from the original text. Yeah. I mean, it would be hard for me to say yes. A retelling is something that I personally would like to do as a writer, but I know that I would probably want to stick too much to the original source.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not that great at retellings, but I commend anyone who's doing something that's based off of something else that's pre-existing, because that takes a lot of skill and a lot of patience because you have to be creative enough to stay familiar or be familiar, but also explore new ground. And I think at the end of the day, the new ground is your voice. Like you're writing this, no one else is writing this.
Yeah.
So I think that that's commendable.
Yeah, right.
I mean, and even more so that you wrote 2 books in 2020. Like, come on.
Yeah. So like,
that's rock star status to me.
I'm just so glad I was productive. I'm still productive. I'm like working on the 4th project now, and it's contemporary because I like wanted to write like just super soft love story. It's about like it's like sci-fi contemporary, but like more contemporary. Like it just like takes place in like Seattle in like 30 years, but it's about like kids now like at parties instead of, or like alongside, you know, doing like just drunk kids shit, like they also fight homemade robots. Like that's like the main thing. But it's just like
amazing.
It's just fun. Like, but I realized starting out writing it, I had to like just take a couple months to like go back and forth and like adjust my tone, because up until this point I've written like just the stakes are like that the world's ending and you need to save it kind of thing, and I needed to, I realized that tone wasn't this contemporary, and I was like, it's not like go back,
it's fine. It's okay. Like it's okay if the main goal is that they have to graduate, you know.
yeah, right. Like it's
they have to
nice.
go to prom or whatever it is, because it's interesting. Like I personally I've always found it interesting contemporaries, because like this ball or this prom or this event, this formal, this whatever. I grew up like with just like a prom, like a junior prom and a senior prom, and that was it, and like a Valentine's Day party. And like I love how a lot of US based contemporary works are just like the spring formal and like this other formal and homecoming and all of these things. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm here for the fashion. I'm here for everything that you would like to, the food descriptions, anything really. I'm here for it. And of course the drama.
Yeah. Of course, the drama. Yeah, I definitely want to do some kind of, I don't know, maybe homecoming or because that's like a classic, right? But I also like, the parties. But like, I lie for that because I didn't party in high school. It's all a lie.
It's all a lie. I mean, it's interesting that people will be like, yes, Zoe is completely, you know, capable of writing about mecha deities, but like we have to ask Zoe about the partying because that can't be fake.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
My authentic party experience.
It's like I actually have more experience destroying robots from within than like going to parties as a teenager, you know.
That's great.
I love that. I love that though. Speaking of parties, does anyone have any questions? You can share them in the chat for Zoe or for both of us in general, but mainly for Zoe, please. Because I'm really excited that we only have 10 days left until Gearbreakers.
Oh my God, yeah.
I'm not, maybe you're not as excited because you're more like, oh no, my book is going to be out on shelves. Have you actually seen has anyone tagged you in sightings? Like
actually just this morning, like,
no.
They're like, oh, it's like some Barnes and Noble somewhere. I was like, oh wow, that's weird to think about. Definitely am excited. I have my entire side of my mom's family coming in, so we have all been together. So sweet. Like we haven't all been together since it's been years, and I'm just gonna get fed good Korean food. I'm just so excited.
Oh, that's so
I'm like
sweet.
excited for that because like they're coming to just like celebrate with me. It means a lot, but definitely kind of just kind of scared, you know, because it's like just like the first thing. Like it feels like there's a lot of hype, and I'm like, what if it doesn't live? Not even that it doesn't live up to the hype, but like just that puts a lot of pressure in the moment. And you know, I was like, oh my God, what if I don't enjoy it enough? Is my main thing. So I can mentally get over myself with it. Yeah. Just need to relax, basically.
Easier said than done. And I feel like I know you didn't ask for advice, but in terms of like dealing with the hype, I mean, I'm not speaking from experience in that sense, but I do know that in my case, since I am representing, or not myself, but my story represents a specific cultural identity within a genre that wasn't like as popular for that specific cultural identity. I mean, when people tell me, oh, this is the first time that I'm seeing a Puerto Rican girl with dragons around her, you know? And it's just like, it's interesting because I'm like, well, I've always wanted a dragon around me.
Yeah.
So I feel like in terms of your expectations versus everyone else's expectations, at the end of the day, what matters is that you feel comfortable enough to say, my book baby is out in the world, or my work of art is out in the world. And I'm not talking like work of art, like, oh my God, I'm Picasso or whatever. But it is literally a work of art that has been commodified to, you know, serve capitalism in the sense that you make money off that. Yeah, but it is still it's an accomplishment, and it's something that is worth celebrating. It might be stressful. There's nothing wrong with having it be stressful or letting it be stressful. There's nothing wrong with you feeling unsure or having more questions than answers, that's all part of the process, especially for a debut. Especially for a debut that is, as you say, like there's a lot of attention on the specific title. And a lot of people will say, well, if this one doesn't do well, the next one won't do well. That's not necessarily the case, and you shouldn't be too focused on that right now. I think that it's lovely that your family is coming to your side or your neck of the woods, because I think it's a great reminder of what actually matters.
You're so right. Wow.
Thank you. I'm a Capricorn.
That's like everything I need to hear, honestly. So helpful. Because I didn't even think of that. Like I'm trying to fix my stress, but like stress is a part of it. So I shouldn't just like shove it down.
Right. I mean, it's like, I can't remember. I used to hate people who would say, oh, I can't talk to you right now. I'll talk to you later. I'm too angry or whatever it is. Or I'm too stressed right now. Or I'm too nervous right now. I can't talk to you. I'll talk to you later. And I'm like, but feeling that anger and feeling that stress and those nerves, that's all valid. Like you should just let it flow through you.
Yeah.
Like instead of like avoiding it or actively acting like this is not happening.
Yeah.
But of course we don't all react the same way to things.
No.
And if you are better off just taking a breather and you know you can actually take a breather and not dwell on things, then you should. But other than that, it's like you're going to do so well because you already did the hard part, which is pour your entire soul into a book. It's not an easy thing to do at all, especially when other people are telling you, oh, you see this part of your soul that you have submitted to us? It's not clear enough. It's a little confusing. We need to develop it more. Like we need more people making out, like that type of stuff. You did the hard part, and now comes the joyful part, which is essentially just you sharing what you have created with people who might see themselves in your words, might understand a part of themselves thanks to your words. Like, even if it's just one person who comes up to you, or not comes up to you because, we're still in a pandemic, but someone who like tags you or like writes to you like, Zoe, you changed my life, or Zoe, you made me happy. Like those are things that you should be, looking forward to. So yeah, I only mention this because I know it's going to happen. I know that people are going to be writing to you and hopefully going to in-person events whenever we can have them and being like, Zoe Hana Mikuta changed my life. She is my favorite author, or she is someone that I admire, or she entertains me a lot with her intensely hilarious TikToks, like whatever it is, you are making someone's day brighter. And I feel like that's what you should take with you these next 10 days. It's like, wow, I'm going to debut, but that's, you should have a party in your brain, but also you should have like a nightmare in your brain in the sense that, oh no, this book is coming out. Oh no. It's all part of it.
Wow, so it's very sage advice. Quite honestly, I love it.
No advice. Just like my personal opinion on how, because I feel like you're handling it very well. You're doing a great job. Like you are just one of those people that I follow online, and I see that you are so fun and funny. And I feel like this person has the right attitude towards what it is, to be talking about their book, to be promoting, because, we are creatives, but we are also business people. Yeah. So I feel like you just have a very relatable, familiar, and fun approach to things that others might consider too serious. And it helps because you just give hope to people that, we're living in hard times, but not everything has to be tough.
Yeah. Well, wow. That's
Yes, I really wanted to say that to you because I personally feel like I'm one of those people who is like, wow, Zoe is like a highlight whenever you like, if I'm scrolling and I see you on Twitter or I see you on TikTok, specifically on TikTok, I'm like, day made,
Oh my God. That honestly means so much because I feel like I'm screaming out into the void sometimes. Like,
oh, no. Well, the void will always follow us, I guess.
Right.
We're always going to be thinking, oh, nobody cares. But, even if nobody cares, you are still valid. And trust me, people care, so.
Thank you so much. Oh my.
I really just want you to like enjoy yourself and enjoy your book being out there. I mean, right now it does feel like it is a long way away, but it's not at the same time.
No.
I just want you to feel like whatever it is that you're feeling, feel it to the max. And I'm always going to be super supportive of any story with disastrous girls, with disaster girls. And, you know, I'm always, if you need like any sort of support in terms of like, hey, I hate this side of publishing, or I hate this side of Seattle. And I'm like, I relate because I've never been to Seattle, but you know, I have opinions about it too. You know, whatever it is. So
well, it means the world. I can't even put into words. Thank you.
Yes, that's perfectly valid too. Or it's like, Zoe, what do you think? I'm like, I don't know. It's like, that's great. That's the answer that's going to print. Forget about it. So yes, I mean, I feel like you are going to be perfect. You're going to do well. And remind everyone of your pre-order campaign, because as Gabby said, the gay art print must be shared.
Yeah. So just like, I have a little art print of Eris and Sona, some temporary tattoos. There's 8-bit bookmarks, little characters on them.
I love that. Yeah.
A little signed book plate, and I already said temporary tattoos. That's everything. So on my Twitter.
Yes, and you are on social. You are at Zoe.
Yeah. This Zoe Hana Mikuta on everything except for TikTok. I'm Zoe Hana Writes.
Zoe Hana Writes. I was gonna say you're Zoe Hana Writes everywhere. I'm like, no, that's not true. So well, yes,
yeah, I guess.
Yes, and also Zoe has a YouTube channel, as I mentioned. We have not seen an upload in a while, but that's good.
I know,
that's
yeah.
Forget about you.
I almost forgot. Like you mentioned it today. I was like, oh yeah, right.
Oh yeah, I do have a channel. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But yes, I'm just so happy that we got to meet. As I mentioned backstage, I'm like, oh, this is our first time meeting. Oh, yeah. So whatever it is that we can expect from you, whether it's Gearbreakers 2 or Alice in Wonderland retelling, or whatever your heart desires, really, contemporary, sci-fi, any genre, we're here for you. And I'm just so excited to celebrate Gearbreakers with you.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me.
We have some hearts to bid us adieu.
That's great.
Yeah. So I would like to thank Zoe for being here tonight, or today for her, because it's daylight out there in Seattle. And thank you everyone for watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of your evening or afternoon, or whenever it is that you're watching this. It could be the morning, I don't know. So yes, stay safe, have a lovely weekend, and yeah, happy Father's Day if there are any fathers watching today. Bye everyone. Thank you.